So I'm gonna bring you. Before I bring you onto the stream, did you have any questions or anything like that? So we're going to talk about your start in the cannabis world, what it is that you're working on, the services that you offer during this time, and just in general, and just chop it up. See how you're doing during this social distancing, how you're still able to be productive, and things like that. Yeah. Yeah. All right. And just to make sure I got it, say hi to, right? All right, so let me put your Instagram here. It's gonna roll up on the screen here at the bottom. What's that? Okay. All right, I got that on here. Let me add that to the text. Boom. And I think you might have to turn your volume up just a tad bit. Yeah, I can hear you. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Yeah. All right, so now I got the your text going up here on the thing, so I'm gonna bring you on the live here. So it should give you like a little countdown. All right, so let me. Okay, there you are. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first guest. Say hi to. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Yes, definitely. Yes, water, stay hydrated. I got my little Aquafina. I should have put some key lime in it. I forgot. I was just all like, "Yo, let me get started," But how are you doing today out there? You're in Philly right now? Let's see. You still there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Okay, cool, cool. All right, we got you. So how you doing? You're in Philly right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Philly. I just went to Whole Foods to do some grocery shopping. I have an event this evening, so I wanted to pretend like it was a normal schedule and I go to the market and I buy things, but they're just things for me. No,
Yeah. No, that's good. I
I
need
have a
to.
little bit of I have a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit of my hemp flour I'm preparing.
Oh, snap. Yes, yes. Thank you for showing that. I love being able to put certain stills up, so that's gonna be perfect. It's just all like, oh yeah, you're missing out. I had someone CJ Hurt. He's the first commenter of the day, and I was like, what are y'all doing? He's all like rolling up. I'm like, all right, you're the eternal shout out guy all day today. He's rolling up.
That's that's love. That's love. Yeah. So it's been good. Again, like I said, I'm preparing for an event tonight called Chefs in Cannabis. Black Dragon Breakfast Club. We exist to change the perception of cannabis. So this virtual experience, we're bringing together 6 chefs from across the country: Puerto Rico, New York, California, and Arizona. And so just been kind of getting ready for that. It was inspired by a physical women's in cannabis meetup we did last month before all of coronavirus kind of happened. And it was a little impromptu experience. I was heading out to South by Southwest to co-host a session called Cannabis is Medicine, but South by Southwest got canceled, and I found out the day of my Women in Cannabis event. I say all that to say this Women in Cannabis meetup, a good amount of people came, all women, celebrating women in general for March. Um, but it was very spontaneous. And usually, like, I don't do too many spontaneous events because, it's hard to do spontaneous events and have a good, quality experience. Long story short, it was great. It was great. And it was the last event that I was able to do and have before we were all quarantined. And so, right after that event, I was inspired to do a Chefs in Cannabis event. And so, actually, there was supposed to be a physical Chefs in Cannabis event yesterday, the 10th. Obviously, postponed it, canceled it, whatever you want to call it, to then do this virtual one. And so, about 2 weeks ago, something kind of just came over me, and I was like, you know what? Even though we can't do events in person, and that's the majority of my work with Black Dragon Breakfast Club is events. And when I say majority, because with the cannabis industry, you need to bring people together. We have to build awareness. So it's important for those who can to do. And one of those things doing is curating experiences for people in different demographics of folks. So that's where the Chefs in Cannabis event originally was came from, and then 2 weeks ago shifted for it to be a virtual experience. In addition to this virtual, we've done in the past a lot of like medical marijuana card sign up events. It's pretty,
Yeah.
I would say it's pretty accessible to like get a medical card if you know the people. Once you know where to go, then it's as accessible as possible. But if you don't know, it's not accessible. So all of this year, we every month we were doing a medical marijuana sign up event um, at a local kind of like clinic. They've partnered up with a physician who can certify folks. And then also we have a self care Sunday event at one of our malls at a friend of mine's retail store, the Sable Collective. Check out the Sable Collective. Check out Around the Way Curls. Shout out to some fam there. But we were having monthly events there around self care in a brick and mortar black owned retail space where about 70% of the items there are made by makers, majority women makers. So, and they're all about intentional shopping, joy, what it really means to have joy, right? Shopping isn't really just joy, it's the connections, it's like the whole story behind it. And then on top of that, we've had a event called Rise and Grind, and that's where everything started. Rise and Grind pop up, kind of inspired by when you wake up in the morning. If you know what strains you can use, you can also get work done, right? Pour a little sugar in your coffee or your tea. You have your day planned out, and you can have a little puff puff or a tincture or a gummy or something like that and get your work done. So that's where Rise and Grind came about. And so those were
Yeah.
monthly events during the daytime around like 10 a.m. So it would be like a 10 to 1 a.m. private experience, typically for medical marijuana card holders, different infused things, gift bags, entertainment, and in a sense, like a networking experience, right? On steroids. Shout out
Yeah.
to all the big dragons. Also, to note, Black Dragon Breakfast Club, in case you're wondering, dragons, right? Well, dragons versus fish, right? So fish drink, dragon smoke is just that simple. And also, we are creative, industrious, progressive supporters of an industry that is shame free, opportunity rich, and stigma free as well. And so there's kind of this narrative around like who a dragon is. It's not just anybody. I one time had a white lady be like, well, black dragons, what about white dragons? I mean, I'm not actually black. I'm actually brown, with a hint of red spice. So what are these words we call black? Yes, but yes, it is Black Dragon Breakfast Club all day long. I am a
Yeah.
black female, so by default it is black and female first. Period.
Oh yeah, and that's what's super fascinating. If it gets quiet, it's when you talk, I mute it so that way it doesn't lag. So, but yes, no, that's super awesome. And the thing is that a lot of I feel like it's so important for us to make so much noise in the cannabis industry, because it's just like our demographic was the most, right? It was the most, affected by it. And it's just all like, there's a freedom with being able to partake in these ancient, like this is ancient medicine. And to be able to have like a self-care Sunday, like that's super fire, like what I would do with my events is I would have like the farmers market of CBD here. And so I would have like 50 15 plus vendors, CBD, vendors, and then it would be like music and things like that. But I realized that it is a family community thing. A lot of the vendors at first, a lot of people ask me, like, are you sure you want like all of these are the same vendors? And I was like, yes, I do, because everyone's different, like everyone's different. Not everyone has flour. Not everyone has pain rubs. Not everyone has the same type of flower. Not everyone has the same story, So I feel like it's important, like the what you're doing with the self care Sundays, why that's so important. And since this isolation, since the self distancing has happened, have you done the self care Sundays like on online or anything like that, or just
No, the Chefs
chill
and
on
Cannabis
it?
event is the first one that we've
Yeah.
done virtual. Um, just out of the nature of the self care Sundays is all about like the physical touch and the connecting with people. So I have yet to transition to figure out what that's going to be. Yeah, I haven't really. Mm-mm, no.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and I think right now it's like everyday self care Sunday. Like
Yeah, I'm like I was trying to think like once a month. Nah, every good point. Most of my I've shifted, and so a lot of the way I communicate to people is self care right now. Anyway, so it's constantly trying to give that. And if I think about it, self care for me is also like being really authentic, like being able to charge myself up so that I can give to other folks. So that's just in general what Black Dragon Breakfast Club has done. Like I have shifted so that it is how can I, be of service essentially. But it's always been that way too. So,
and that's what I've been taking on a lot during this time. Just all like, I think a lot of people during this time are meeting their shadow for the first time in a while. Like they're just having to confront a lot of what they just didn't have time for before. And I think that being able cannabis has been a very awesome helper with that. And so I know that you're currently rolling up. So what right now, what are I'm on this four kick right now. What are your top four strands right now? Favorite strands?
I am yeah, I like hybrids. I like to stay up. I like indicas for the right time, sativas for the right time. To be quite honest with you, my favorite strains are the ones that are most affordable right now. So that is wedding cake and Magic Johnson, and I always blend them with hemp flower, which is always Hawaiian haze or Hawaiian lifter. So that's just what that's the thing, to be really really honest. As long as I know that hybrid is my thing and I want to be more up because I'm using it for the daytime, that's where I go to find the dispensaries that have it the cheapest. I'm a medical patient. I'm also a caregiver. I also need my cannabis to last me a long time, so I always have it with hemp flower. Yeah, keeping it real. Sometimes I have access to locally grown flower, and when that time happens, then all we know is that it is a hybrid because not every grower can, not every grower knows the name of their seeds. And I say that in the sense of like I'm being a little facetious. I used to live on a cannabis farm. I know the whole deal. My ex is the cannabis grower. I know the clones, the stages, trimming, covered head to toe. Like so, and that was also living in the West Coast like 6 years ago. So being on the East Coast, yeah, like your apes are going to be 50 to 60 to $70. Like that's too much
Yeah.
money. Like people
Yeah.
know. I mean, you can check the studies or just the surveys and stuff like that. Respondents from PA, like if we were going to quit, we quit because it was too expensive. Like nobody has $500 a month to spend on cannabis, especially when you're part of a medical system that has totally capitalized and made this. Look, I'm not here to talk shit about the medical industry, but I am here to talk shit about the medical industry, period. Okay? It's an institution just like the rest of the institutions. If Pennsylvania can have this many public schools closed down, Yeah, and we have hospitals closed down. Come on
Oh
now,
yeah.
we privatize medical, so that's a different story.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I appreciate you saying that because I mean it is definitely true. The thing is, right now it's true. Like my whole thing is that a lot of the prices that people are putting out. That's why I love when I go to LA. I love when I go because I'm just all like, yo, $20 eights, what's up? Like,
Or Vegas. Vegas. I was speaking at the CBDIO conference, right? And
hmm
you in Vegas and all the shops, it's cheap. They don't. They come on now. Come on now. But also, if I think about it, back when I was in my 20s, I had lived in Hawaii. I've lived in my parents met in Hawaii, so I've always been between Philly and Philadelphia and Hawaii. So when I graduated high school in Hawaii, I came back to Philly, and I remember back then I had already been used to like Hawaii cannabis, but I also smoked for the first time in Hawaii, also mind you. So that's all I didn't even know what Reggie was until I came back to the East Coast and I was hanging out with my little Philly friends, and they got this Reggie stuff with seeds and stems in it. I'm like, the fuck is that, bro? What is that? I'm getting a headache right now. So that that's just it's also just it's interesting to think about that too. Just for how long were East Coast cities smoking like this swaggy Reggie? For all I know, hemp. Like the more we now know, right?
Yeah.
And how many folks out here are really just smoking hemp oil
Yeah.
with some terpene spray on it.
Oh yeah, people get real creative, and so I thought it was super interesting that you help people get medical license. So how important was that to you in your community as far as to even think to take the initiative to even do that, and how has that helped people who maybe wasn't on it before? Like how have you seen that help people around you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like I said, Black Dragon Breakfast Club, we exist to change the perception of cannabis. So whatever needs to be done to change the perception is gonna happen. Um, so I got my medical card last year. It took me a while. My one of my business partners when I first started was very adamant about adult use, very adamant in her opinions. I respect that, but I'm not as adamant because you have to be able to move, be malleable and flexible, and be willing to pivot and kind of move in such a volatile industry, right? So I then shifted from adult use to medical because I had to have my own journey and really, really fully define and understand how I was using it. I hadn't yet gone to a doctor to be diagnosed with anxiety. I don't come from a family that believes too much in what doctors say. I'm also a vegetarian. I've never had the flu in my life. I use garlic and honey to cure a fever. I'm very different than y'all folks, like than most folks. So just understand that. Also, like um um so this idea, and there's also complications in that, right? Because the tired, like strong black woman, right? And then you get into the boardroom and that shit hits you in the face and you can't handle it because the world ask of you too much often. Um as a black woman, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent. Long story short, finally went to see a doctor. And it was kind of random. I was actually going to the venue just to see the space, and the doctor happened to be there. And I was like, well, if I've already registered as a patient with the state, so I might as well. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have anxiety. My mom, pretty sure she has OCD, but she's just never been diagnosed. But then again, maybe a lot of moms who want to clean house are OCD too. You know what I mean? Like, and there's always these like, a lot of us black folk, we have trauma in our life. I mean, honestly, if you don't have some type of trauma, knowing that our ancestors were slaves, I think
Yeah.
something's wrong anyway. Like, the fuck are we talking about right now?
Right.
Like, I get triggered if I watch a slave movie. Like, I get triggered when I read history. Like, what are we talking? Anyway, went to the doctor, and obviously he's like, you have anxiety. The questions that they ask you for GAD 7 to see if you have anxiety is ridiculous in the first place. I mean, when you know what I mean, when you examine this, it's ridiculous, but also very grateful, right? We're so grateful to
Oh yeah.
have the medical industry. So happy. So smart. So once the doctor told me I have anxiety, I guess all of a sudden it becomes legitimate, right? And so now it's like, oh man. So when white people are racist, I am angry. I'm getting anxious about being in a crowd. White people might judge me by my skin color.
Right.
Of course, let me smoke this real quick so I don't say nothing to your ass for you being you. So from that, my me stepping back, being looking at my own journey, I was like, damn, if it's hard for me, it's got to be hard for other people. Like my mom's given me all the tools to make smart decisions. Not everybody has that. I know how to get new information. If anything, I'm a daredevil because I know better. I know better on every single level, and I just choose to do whatever else I feel like doing. And I'll just let y'all interpret that however you want. No, I probably shouldn't be smoking Fronta leaves. I knew that though. I've been known that. I don't need Corona to tell me that. But then
Right.
that's going down into personal, right? I'm not here to micromanage what somebody does because I'm not micromanaging how often you go poop every day. So,
Yeah.
like, what am I to now micromanage what you put in your lungs? It's none of my business. Anyway, I realized like we needed more experiences to open the door, take that shame away. If I carry my own shame and stigma, as open minded as I am, and versed and had all the experiences and very eclectic upbringing, then it must be hard for other people too, right? So
Yeah.
I started setting up. You can have a free consultation, 15 minutes, and I basically help you get registered online with the state, walk you through all the steps. And once everything is done on my part, I just send you off to the doctor. Usually like these doctors have a partnership or something with some random space or person and they get a little cut from it. I'm not one of those people, but the people I probably refer you to probably get a cut. Just know that that's the hustle. That's the medical hustle. That's why doctors go become doctors because they can charge you $500 an hour. Know
Hey, they
that.
need to start giving influencers a cut for doing some stuff like that. For real, for real. Like they do that with
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah, just trust. I know what's up. So even though I might have these little partnerships with dispensaries, I know it's just so that you can get my audience. It's all hustle. Point blank, it's a hustle. But people do need the medicine. They do need the access. They do need the conversation. They do need the community because there are doctors, there are institutions that will just say no to a person and will judge them because of what they look like and not give them the information. Or perhaps it's just the medical field, the industry at a whole that says don't recommend this to certain people. Whatever it is, I know that on the East Coast, Black people get charged for weed, and on the West Coast is cool. So it is what it is. I do these experiences, these events for people to see a Black face. Because when I first got my card, I went into the space and it was all white people.
Yeah.
And the first thing I thought was, okay, well, Black people are sick too, and they need medical cards. So rather me instead of me sitting here and looking and being like, oh, fuck y'all. Oh, y'all get what you get. You know what I mean? You get this. Why don't we get it? No, didn't do that. I just said, so can I have an event here? Great. I want to bring my people here. Great. Done. And keep it moving, right? Because, like you said, it's a family. Like, obviously, there's race, there's all types of issues that are in our real world outside of Corona, racism, prejudice, classism, right?
Yeah.
Genderism, hate, yup, jealousy, all of that. So rather than focus on that, I just focus on, well, let's put a solution in. Let's just get to work. So getting to work means creating monthly experiences, talking about it, making there be a familiar face, walking people through the experience, and being consistent about it. And that's the stage that I'm in, at least with Black Dragon right now, because I can't I can't move a movement forward if I don't got people with me. Or if the faces are only one color, I can't sit and talk shit about the fact that there's majority white people and people not Black that are in the industry. I'm not gonna sit and do that. I'm gonna just be in the industry and make it cool for other folks, hopefully attract the folks that align with me. And you see it too. A lot of the Black women in the industry we're all similar in so many ways, right? Everybody is a creative to some degree. Half of the people want to be an event planner, like the other half does tarot and numerology, the other half is a vegetarian. Like, try this out here.
And that's what's cool. And I think that you're able to find your unique aspect in the way that you are, like whenever like I haven't got a chance to face talk to you till now, and I just see like just the energy is like super dope, and I see that as far as through the different things that you do, and I think that that's super dope because that's what I felt when getting into this industry in general. I was just all like, yo, for one, this doesn't exist, and two, I'm just all like, no one looks like me. When I go to these expos, when I go to these different places, I'm just all like, yo, this doesn't even make sense. Like, I'm like, and I mean, it's like that in general, which is dope. You said that you travel as far as in Hawaii. I haven't been to Hawaii, but I've heard some amazing stories about their amazing weed.
I left Hawaii because I've been there for like it had been like 10 years at that point, and I was in my 20s. It was like I maxed it out. I knew everybody. I'm cool already. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I learned there that if you're cool, you're like cool as an authentic person, genuine, and and I'm also just an interesting person. Like, I was accepted and embraced. Yeah, like ain't no issue, especially being black too. They fuck with black people. Yeah, especially if you have some awareness of other types of people outside of yourself. You feel me?
Oh yeah.
Like, there's definitely a lot of like-minded folks. There's also trash ass people there too. My ex-boyfriend was trash. He's from Hawaii. So I'm like, I just don't want to like make it all peachy.
No, it's so dope because I feel like it's so important for us to travel, and it's so important for us to be in this industry. Like those are two things that I've seen nothing but opportunity. It's just all like anytime that I see, creators, it's right. Like it definitely seems like this, mixture of people who are just multifaceted, and I think about our ancestors, and I was just like, that's nothing new. They've been multifaceted, just doing multiple things, doing like that's what we did. We were travelers, we were medicine women and men, we were all of these things. And it's just like I feel like in this day and age, this is a perfect time to be able to embrace that. And then especially during this time where we physically are like very contained on where it is that we need to go. Like I've always thought like, yo, this is the start of an entirely new decade. And we definitely need to embrace as far as the fact that, hey, maybe we're a lot doper than we thought we were. Like we could do a lot more things than we thought we can do and be in these fields. So many of our people, they're trying to like open dispensaries, and I'm like, there's another way to engage in this cannabis world. Like that's why events are super dope, product creation super dope, just being an influencer in general, because right now I would have been pissed if I had a shop right now, like just opened up shop and then bloop, hey, guess what? Corona, like, so it's just all like, during this time, I feel like it's important, like we're able to transition a little bit better. And I want to get into that as far as the services. So creative consultant. So explain to people as far as what a
Yeah,
creative consultant does, and also what it is that you personally do.
yeah. So prior to this, I was working basically consulting, coaching about 300 plus artists in Philadelphia, like in the creative community. It was one of my last jobs, so it's just really plugged in there. So I would basically offer coaching to artists, creatives, because really that's all you guys really need. Like that's all we really need is once we have the resources, once you know how to plan, you just need accountability. That's really it. Someone there, like you get to a certain point, and then you need management, and then you need a team. But up until that point, you just need a coach. And it's similar to you think of different celebrities who have to do a lot of speaking engagements, leadership roles. They have leadership coaches. That's really the same thing. It's like having that leadership coach who can just help you move forward, who holds you accountable. Period. Creatives, all we want to do is create to the core of us. We want to create. And so, what will keep us moving forward? is accountability. So I got my MBA. I was basically being an accountability coach to the company I was working for, the startup I was working for. I was like the oldest person there. Surprise, surprise, I'm 34 years old. I was working for a startup with like a bunch of 20-year-olds. And so a lot of my work is just that one-on-one. With my clients right now, my work expands past the coaching, but it's kind of like I focus in like the marketing area, social media strategy, content management, content creation. So part of that last position, working with all the creatives, was a way to funnel and bring them into the cannabis space, right? So many creatives have great opportunities in the cannabis industry. So being able to not only put creatives in front of brands, but also put like customers in front of brands, patients in front of dispensary owners, right? You know what I mean? Like just connecting all of these two. So on the creative side, for the artists out there, if you are looking for support, yes, I do consultations. It's like a 3 to year long relationship, to be quite honest. Like you got to have goals. I hold you accountable. I'm your leadership coach. I also have an MBA. My background's also in labor organizing, just so you can understand like the well-roundedness, right? There's community, but then there's also like money, right? Um, with the cannabis industry specifically, a lot of the work is working with different, whether it be an individual who's just trying to build out a brand for themselves, or a company, a CBD company, right, that is trying to get into stores. So I do sales and marketing, anywhere down to actually helping with sales, like planning events, right, and getting your products placed there. One of our companies that we work with, Momed, we helped build their market out in Philadelphia just by the events and the different experiences that I put on. So some of the work is working with brands and just putting them on, right? The South by experience would have been, if you are a cannabis company, a CBD company, we show you our sponsorship deck. You choose one of the opportunities, the packages, and we show it up. So just an idea, we would have been in South by Southwest with about 4 or 5 different cannabis brands, gifting different folks at South by Southwest, right? So we kind of create the entire experience, what the theme is, what the messaging is, down to handouts, down to shirts, down to the bag of goodies. One of the brands we work with is Whack It. Another one of the brands we work with is Verde V. Another one we work with is Meister High End. So yeah, a lot of that connection base. So sometimes that it's kind of like there's the coaching because it's for the folks who are maybe just starting and who just needs a little bit of support, all the way down to like the founder of the organization, right? Who needs a variety of different services, but also needs that hands-on coaching. And so a lot of my clients, it's not just some random person. We're building a relationship with each other. I don't want just anybody. I've learned that in my process. I do not want to just work with anybody, right? You want to just grab my ideas, book a consultation, and write all your questions down, and you've got an hour to ask. If you're looking for more than that, we have to build something, right? Because I need you as a client to actually do the work as well. Otherwise, we're just building something that's very cookie cutter, and there's no guarantees with cookie cutter, especially with the cannabis industry. You're going to need much more than just a cookie cutter template to get anywhere. But there's so many other things. One other thing I was going to mention, Conspiracy Corner, our podcast, my podcast, it's on all
Yeah.
platforms, and that's kind of an opportunity for, I would say too, if you're kind of interested in just seeing the scope of my interest as well, a little bit of my facilitating, you're gonna get a couple angles of like my chitter chatter with one of my creative directors, Ja. You'll get a lot of that, and you'll see my love for music and the art. Just the same as you'll get maybe a conversation with the Asia Atwoods of Trella Technologies, right? Or the Jerry Irvings of Nottingham Farms. And that's kind of more that business angle where I may be a partner with them, or I may be interested in working with them, or I'm just so fascinated in what they do that I feel like our community needs to know about it to kind of like move forward, right? And again, it's always about elevating the perception of cannabis in whichever way that is.
No, that's super dope. And that's enlightening for me, because the fact that I throw these events, but I also have, products. I've built a pretty much a brand that has to deal with my music. So it's just like my artist name is Mr. Composition, and so I drop the composition products. So the composition CBD pre rolls, the composition CBD smokable teas, the composition CBD cigarettes. So I definitely have to link up with y'all for sure, because like I really like, that's my main thing, is like being able to set people up with creative people that understand as far as the vision. My part in CBD is the fact that this is something that I believe in for creators and entrepreneurs, because we've lost so many artists due to depression, due to, drug abuse, different things like that. And for me, cannabis, CBD in general, I feel like that's something that can help a lot of people. That way we're not losing so many people to opiates or, drug overdose or different things like that, because these are, I never can tell a person, what it is or what they're not feeling or anything. It's every one of it is personal. And I personally go through my own stuff to where it's just all like, you can't, there's just certain things that we have that the creator gave to us that can help us to deal with this without any of the side effects, without any of the lethargic, or any of the negative impact, on us, and that's a lot of why I want to push, I don't know if you got a chance to see the Revolt TV State of Emergency on COVID on YouTube, and it was like Van Jones, Angela Rye, P. Diddy, and everything like that. And they were talking about the, as far as the numbers for the African American people when it came to deaths and cases and different things like that, and just how a lot of pre-existing conditions, because of the lack of support from the government, has a lot of us susceptible to it. So everything from lack of health care, lack of, services to get just the basic. We still got crap that's going on with Flint. There's a lot of underlining things that are going on that, like I said, if we got our herbs, we can start to just get to a point of clear headedness to just make smart decisions. There's a lot of people that look like us, that the reason they're in these toxic behaviors is because they just don't feel valued. They just don't feel valued. Anytime that you're going to constantly do something negative to yourself is usually because you don't feel like you're valued. If you feel like you're valued, you don't want to continue doing certain things. But if you have an environment, if you have media, everything that shows, like Angela Rye brought up a point. She said, yeah, black workers matter, but even then, it's just like on to the next if something were to happen. So it's just like, I feel like a lot of cannabis CBD helps with that, bringing back to that personal awareness, because you're taking in the earth for one, and we have a system in our body that is a cannabinoid system, like, and it's a part of us, so I feel like there's a lot that we're able to benefit from partaking in this. Why not? And why not be a part of, this and heal.
Yes. Word.
Yeah, so before I let you go, just let the people know as far as what, it'll be two things. What current things do you have that you can, that you offer to people, as far as where they can hit you up? And then what is some advice that you can give to people during this time to help them be productive, or to just be able to deal with the day to day?
Okay. Um, we'll start with what to do with the day to day. I also am a singer, so apparently my response to all of this was to create. So, and it's funny because before all of this happened, I'd already transitioned from working at a company to working for myself and being at home and setting my schedule and all the depression that comes with trying to run a business and the failures and not having support and all of it. So I kind of was already prepared for it in a way. But art and creativity, I have a lot of hobbies. I have a lot of hobbies and a lot of things I could do. But one of the things that's been pressing for me was making music. So, writing has been much easier for, not easier. I've just been much more successful in writing lyrics and writing songs. I've also been doing it with like family members. So my sister helped me, which was so interesting because it was such a learning lesson. Like, wow, I'm vulnerable around my sister. Very different from like my studio producer friends, right? Where I'm like, I don't feel comfortable sharing these lyrics with you, and I didn't connect it. I thought I was just inadequate, right? I thought something was wrong with me, but it was really just it's your comfort level. So I've been getting a lot of joy out of of creating. I also like making graphics on my phone. Download over. Man, love it. When you are self-employed, you can't always have a MacBook. I haven't had a MacBook in like 5 years. Uh, Shout out to Chromebooks. So that means I use my iPhone for everything. So again, I'm really saying art creativity. It's a really really great thing, especially if you have a hobby already or have some skill that you want to improve on. You might be surprised on what comes out, especially now. Like I went into the booth at one point in my life. I was broke, so I sold all of my music equipment. So anyway, I went to a booth. Hard times. You go up, you go down. But if you can go up and go down and come back up, then you are thriving. To be quite honest, especially if you still have your spirit, right? Um, so creating music, but I was in the booth and I got so nervous. I was shaking, and I think it's because I was being so honest and real. And I'm just saying that I think for many of us, this what's happening right now, it's like throwing the trash out the window for us to see what's always been here, right? I mean, Black people have had this health disparities before COVID. I'm sorry. And if you weren't dedicating your life doing something about it before, shame the fuck on you. Shame the fuck on everybody who didn't seem to care about all these issues, but now all of a sudden you do care because they've been here. They didn't go anywhere. They've been here this whole fucking time. I don't know why. I don't know why Revolt wasn't talking about this before COVID. Like
Yeah.
shame on y'all. Like, and I'm gonna just say that. So anyway. Also, one mention to branding. That's one of my specialties in that area of marketing and branding. So just focus on like who you are right now and how you can offer it to other people. I thought about that when you were talking about the composition. It kind of goes to this character Corax. You may have seen her. She has a dragon face. She's like a dragon version of me. If you go onto Spotify or any of the podcast places, you can type in Conspiracy Corner, Black Dragon Breakfast Club, and you'll see her sometimes. And that just all goes to personas, having a persona, right? It's good to have a customer persona, it's good to have a brand persona. Um, and part of a brand persona is knowing your brand archetype. Whole different story. Anyway, uh, a lot of different things there. So yeah, do arts, do creativity. How you can get in touch with me? We have a Chefs and Cannabis virtual event tonight, 6 p.m. 6 chefs. Each chef has 10 minutes to feature either a dish, a recipe, demo some type of extraction method, or offer recommendations, tips, or a recipe for you. We have a raffle as well tomorrow from Culinary and Cannabis out in LA. She does celebrity events. She will be offering 20-minute free consultation to any aspiring chef. You just have to log in at 6 p.m. Email in the chat, and then I'll close it. I'll announce winner. It's on GoToMeeting. If you go to my page, Black Dragon Breakfast Club, every one of the flyers, Chefs and Cannabis, I made, by the way, with my motherfucking thumbs and pointer fingers. Um, but the access code is right there, so you'll see it. Access code, and then GoToMeeting. Go into my Facebook as well if you need even simpler instructions. Go to Facebook, register for the event. Register for the event. All the info is right there. Log in at 6 p.m. You actually don't have to download GoToMeeting, but if you do download GoToMeeting, it just makes it a little bit easier. Just it's just a different kind of interface for you if you're using like your computer or your iPhone. Also, I come from a family of like health freaks, by the way. It's part of that 70s alternative movement, right? Freedom fighters and health freaks keep your colon clean. Sneaking a couple tobacco wraps. Don't tell my mom. Um, but reishi mushroom, astragalus, garlic and honey. We've got a nice tea blend on my site. Go to blackdragonbreakfast.com, go to the shop section. We've got a couple things for you to purchase. You can purchase a consultation for $75. It's all the worth it. You could also get the tea blend to boost your immune system, and also have a cannabis guide. So it's a medical marijuana guide. So if you just got your medical marijuana card, but you know nothing about the industry, it's about I would say, a 10-page guide, just to know the basics about getting in the industry, and it's only $5.99.
That is super fire. There's like, I don't know about y'all that are tuning in, but I'm definitely tuning in. I want to go see that chef as far as that event. And what I'll do is I'll post that event in the comment section here, so that way people can check that out, because that sounds super fire. But before I let you go, I've been trying to get people to give me suggestions. I have not started on the binge watching of anything yet during this whole quarantine. Netflix, Hulu, or whatever. What suggestions do you have? Can you hear me?
Say that again. I think the reception's being a little weird.
Okay. What suggestions do you have? I've been trying to find something on Netflix or Hulu. I've not gone into the binge watching of anything yet. So what do you?
Devs, Devs.
What is it?
D is in dog, E is in
Mm.
elephant, V is in viper,
Mm.
S is in Sam.
Okay. Okay. I'll check that out. Okay. Super dope. Super
Devs,
dope.
Devs. It's very good. Quantum physics.
Oh, okay, okay, all right. See, all right. So I'm gonna have to check out the podcast. I'm gonna have to check out all this stuff, because I need to be a guest on there, chopping it up on some quantum conspiracies and all of them jazz. But yes, thank you so much. I have a song to send to you, because yes, that is gonna be super awesome. So yes, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end up chopping this off.
On that note, oh, you'll probably, yeah, chop that off. On that note, Chasing Dreams on Spotify by me, Tsehaitu.
Yes, yes, y'all check that out, and I will be dropping those links as well. What I'm gonna do with these is I'm gonna make these into actual episodes. So this will be on here. We'll put the part of it on the episode, and then there'll be the full interview available as well for people to check out. So I'll send that to you when it is complete. But thank you so much for joining us today, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. It was great to be here.
Yes, have fun, keep smoking. Peace.
Bye.